Small business owners can amplify their reach by utilizing social media.
Welcome everyone. We are super excited for our guest this afternoon, Brittany Barlog with Britt's Beauty Room and B Squared Media. Brittany has been in the beauty industry for about 10 years, right? And also owns a media company. So we thought she'd be a perfect guest to talk about social media. And if you follow any of her social media, you will fully understand why we wanted to chat with you today, right?
Thank you.
This is your jam. You absolutely love, social media, all kinds of media for marketing businesses.
Absolutely.
And, we bounce off each other a lot. I feel like we watch each other's content all the time.
I'm a big fan of the Schlick art content. Let me tell you that. I'm like, whatever the Schlicks are doing, I should probably follow suit.
So why don't you tell us how you started getting involved in social media?
I love it. So about 10 years ago, I actually was a student at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. And at FITM, I was in a beauty industry specific course and curriculum. I actually earned 2 degrees specific for the beauty industry. And right as I was graduating college, they literally introduced the Masters of Social Media. And I looked at my dad, I said, Dad, can I do that? He goes, no. And I was like, okay, never mind, scratch that. Moving on. But that was the first year that I started integrating heavily into social media, of creating it to be more than just content, but actually relational, value-driven content. And that's where I specialize in for the industry that I'm in, because it's not about just putting on makeup or taking it off or showing skincare. It's about teaching people and then following through with that so that they have the value connected to the person.
Yeah.
I feel like you've evolved it since then though as well. Like you work for quite a few different industries now, right? Tell me about that.
So I definitely have my beauty industry segment that I totally specialize in, love doing that. I love educating within that segment and realm. I also have content that's generated for small business owners. So people who need brand consistency, I'm going in and teaching them how to create that consistent flow for their consumers to understand that they still exist. Sometimes I look at content, I'm sure you guys do too, and you're like, they haven't posted since 2021. Do they still exist? And I feel like now people aren't going to Yelp. They're kind of going to your Instagram and Facebook just to see what you've been up to. How recent are you posting your content?
Yeah, you said one of our favorite words actually, especially when it comes to social media, but just marketing in general, is consistency. We fully believe in that if you're not doing whatever it is, it doesn't have to be social media, but marketing just in general. People aren't gonna find you on Yelp, they're finding you on social media, they're finding you somehow. So if you're not out there posting consistently or sharing yourself consistently, people are not gonna find you.
I completely agree.
Obviously you have your own personal content and then you have the content that you work with, other clients. How do you choose? You mentioned Instagram and Facebook, but how do you choose which platforms for the different industries you work with? And let's start with your Britt's Beauty Room. Yeah.
I would love to take you on a little story of how it started, actually. Yeah. I used to always do makeup in my room, and so that's where the Britt's Beauty Room name came to be. Yeah. When that was starting, it really was truly to be value-driven content. And where do you find people who need that value-driven content? I like to believe main character energy. Are you bringing your main character energy to the forefront of what your content is? Is your client and consumer dripping in clarity of who they actually are? I can't just say my consumer is anyone who puts on makeup. No, my consumer and my happy point, my sweet spot, is over the age of 35 to 40, who are potentially new families, women who really are wanting to get themselves back onto the working scene, and they need advice. They need to figure out how exactly do I create a look that I can take to my everyday life. And I also started venturing into the special event showcase in that area too, because of our community. I don't have to just market to my consumer. That's my exact description. It's actually better for me to find a very clear market. And I found that best for me is Facebook group and Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing to know about yourself and your business, right? Is like who you're actually talking to. Because there's so many times that we'll sit down with business owners and kind of talk to them about like, who are you trying to reach with this content, whatever it is that we're trying to create. And so often we hear that same answer that you said, which is everybody. And it's not, right? It's not everybody.
I love when people think that. I love that they think that that's true. And it doesn't mean that you cannot be liked by everybody.
Correct, yeah.
You are totally liked and loved and appreciated by so many people that you interact with, and they know your value that you're putting for the table. But do you actually know the content or product or service that you best are going to align with?
Yeah. And let's stop caring about the likes and comments, because they're not making us any money. It's just, again, pretty social media versus, you know, actually creating a following that actually activates, you know, client retention.
I completely agree. I don't think viral is the goal anymore. I think it's quality over quantity, and that going viral with a great, you know, spin-off of a voice acting or, you know, whatever you're doing, it's fine. But at the end of the day, does it pay your bills? And that is the hill I die on, is does it pay your bills?
Right.
Story's been something that we've always kind of integrated into our process, whether it's our own social media or content for other companies. So how do you work storytelling into the stuff that you're doing online?
I love this question so much. I think the more stories that we can tell, the more emotional and the more emotional impact you can create. Because I think that facts tell, but stories sell every single time. And it's not that you're using a story to then generate, because that's not authentic. But people are curious people. They want to have a little inside look into everyone's day-to-day personal life, and it's not that you're oversharing in any of that. I actually always recommend do not make your social media your diary entry. I feel like those are the people I unfollow first more than anyone. And so don't put your dirty laundry on social media. But there is a very classy way of allowing people to be entered into it and kind of be that little fly on the wall. So I like to do in my social media an 80-20 rule. I do 80% of my content is of value, education, my day-to-day life, what do I do for extracurriculars, which includes so many things in this community that we're grateful to live in, nonprofit work, my hobbies and interests. 80% of my content is that. 20% of my content, I'm selling my product or service.
Storytelling really puts somebody else in that person's shoes, right? You're telling a story about a client and they can kind of go, oh, I have that same issue.
That's my problem.
That's my problem, or that's the solution that can definitely work for me. Now I'm going to pick up the phone or, you know, hit the message button, whatever it is. Because they were able to relate to that story you were telling, rather than saying just, hey, here's my cool thing, buy my cool thing, right? It's such a huge kind of game changer that, again, I think people don't think about. And I think people get kind of like caught up in the nervousness of telling stories because they feel like they're gonna mess it up or not tell it right or offend somebody or whatever. And it's like, no, just
be real.
Be real.
So as we're kind of talking through story, talk to us a little bit how you kind of bring storytelling into your marketing and how you help clients.
You know, I will say that whenever I'm promoting my own stuff and I'm creating a live video or I'm doing some content or whatever, the real stuff is actually what sells it the most. Let's be very clear. There was a live video that I did years ago, probably back in like 2018. My sister Jenny, she was born with Down syndrome, and I take care of her, and she's my only sibling. She's the light of my world. I love her so much. This girl happens to be in on one of my live videos, and we're talking about masking. I'm putting on a face mask. She's just sitting there. She disappears from the chair. She comes back with literally my dirty underwear. She is showing it to the screen going, look at Bubba's underwear, and I am mortified. Like, you can literally see the red through my face. That is my most viewed video. That is my most commented on video. That mask sold to every person who watched that video that night. It was so real. Do I dare to take it away? No, because that's literally, that's life.
Your life.
That's life.
That's your life.
That's my life. Welcome to my world. Like, it was so authentic. So you can't take away the realness of it. I get it. Not every person's house is clean. Not every countertop is spotless. Do it anyway, because that's relatable to the average person who you're trying to build that brand around.
No matter what it is, no matter how small or large it is, it can be overwhelming on both sides. So how do you let's use the I don't have anything to post overwhelming side. How do you overcome that on the daily? Because we all suffer for it, even, you know, the most notorious marketers.
You know, I first will encourage anyone to basically look at, you know, what season is it? Let's start with like the very broad, right? What time of year is it? What colors are popular? Can we do anything with that? No? Okay, moving forward. Okay, what's going on in your personal life that you could possibly share that wouldn't be oversharing? Yeah. That would be receptive to the audience that you serve. Is there a nonprofit event that you can relate to? Maybe you were going to, this last weekend was Taste of the Town, and it supports the Child and Family Center. When we go to the Child and Family Center, who are we supporting? Do you have a story that resonates with that through your own clients, through yourself, right? You can tap into all of these different things, and I really do believe that there's magic in the mundane. I don't think that you have to be perfect. I don't think that you have to be the best. I think that you have to be authentic, and authenticity will sell every single time.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that we see our clients struggle with, is that they feel that, right? Like, oh, I'm not the best, so I can't say that this or that about my business. Or that, like Lindsay was saying, our company's kind of boring and we don't have anything cool to post about. And it's like, those are the kind of things that people don't even know about your business. You're stuck inside of your business, so you don't see what other people on the outside see, right? And so like, that's one of our biggest things, is like when we go in and like meet with a client or a company to kind of like talk about their marketing, is to show them that the things that they find mundane are the things that we find really cool. And I think that other people are going to find really cool. That will help somebody that has no idea what that business does or how it can help them can be seen now.
Unfortunately, but fortunately, to bring it back to the fundamentals, and I say unfortunately in this way, is practice makes perfect. And everybody's like, ugh, you know, practice makes perfect. But it's true, you know, the first time you create a story and do a post, it is hard. It is hard, and it's not going to be great, right? Mm-hmm. The 100th story is going to be great.
So one of the things that we kind of always talk about in our strategy sessions and just social media in general is to try to create engaging video content, right? Mm-hmm. And so we kind of talk through with our clients about not, like kind of Lindsay said earlier, not waking up Monday morning and coming up with the idea right then and there. So one of the biggest things we do, and the reasons why we have strategy sessions with our clients, is to be able to generate all those ideas and get them out on paper so that we have them, right? And then we can start playing with how they go in their social media and their marketing, all that kind of stuff. So it's more about kind of creating a schedule and creating a plan to understand that when it's time to create content, you already have kind of ideas in the bank. Does that relate to what you do in any way, or how do you kind of come up with that engaging video content?
I really do think that if you're not working on a single day, like if you work Monday through Friday, or let's say you work Tuesday through Saturday every single week, stop forcing yourself to post on the Sunday and Monday that you're not working. Yeah. Post on the days that you're working, because here's the other thing that I've noticed throughout this huge transition of COVID and coming out from COVID, people do not want the life of the hustler anymore. People want a life that they can admire and watch and be inspired by, of someone who actually takes a day off and enjoys what their life is giving them and goes on that wine vacation or goes to the beach and back in a day. So having some breaks in your content, I don't think it's a bad idea. But if you're going to work, I think that you should be posting content once a day.
We are a little bit kind of like those old school hustlers, because we do kind of, like we said earlier, bounce ideas off of each other and that kind of thing. But we feel like social media is very much that. It has its kind of time and place, right? There's those work hour days. Yeah. It makes most sense. If we're out like on, relaxing somewhere in Carp or wherever, something like that, we might post to our stories just because that shows, the personal side as well. But
and what we like to do and the stories we like to tell when we are enjoying ourselves. Yeah. But there's also, I think, I agree, like ideally, you're talking 5 days a week, essentially, is you post the days that you're working. Again, it's this, we say 4 days a week. We don't like to post on Fridays. We don't feel like people want our content on a Friday unless it's fun, unless it is us going to Carp and taking the day off or something like that. But we always say it's also what's manageable, because if you can't post, if you post 5 days a week and then you the next week you do nothing because you're exhausted for the 5 days that you did last week, you know, that's not consistent. That's not attainable.
As we're kind of wrapping up our episode here, we always like to end with knowing how people can find you and like what kind of cool stuff you got going on.
Okay, so you can find me. I do have a website. It's www.britsbeautyroom.com. You can also find me on my social media platform at Britt's Beauty Room for Instagram. And if you're really curious and want to be that MVP, you are welcome to join my Facebook group to get the inside scoop on what to do to your face. So right now I am the current JCI chapter president for Santa Clarita's chapter. We have a lot of new projects that are coming up, and we are also making sure that we have our Veterans Resource Fair that are getting committees filled. And you know, my personal favorite is right around the corner. It's 40 Under 40. The first committee meeting is happening, and it is just such a joy and honor to be able to watch and serve alongside the incredible leaders that I have this year on my board of directors, and to be able to watch them flourish. I mean, that's all the fun I can have. That's it.
That's perfect.
Thank you so much, Brittany, for
Thank you,
being
guys.
here. And thank you, everybody, for watching and being a part of episode 9, All Things Social Media. We hope you find this valuable. And yeah, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay.
B-Dog 1, B-Dog 2.
So as Brittany said, we work on Christmas Day.